All right, so we got Alessandro Villatoro here, and let's kick things off with some of our musical influences.
Well, definitely from an early age. I grew up with bands like, off the top of my head, Earth, Wind and Fire, Sade, Carlos Santana, and a couple of smaller bands from 70s and 80s that were primarily R&B music, soul, and funk. Like DeBarge, the Floaters, the Delphonics, Commodores, groups like that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's awesome stuff, yeah. How many instruments do you play?
Mostly just saxophone, and I kind of dabble in piano and bass guitar.
Dabble? You play, I already know you play.
It's mostly just for ear training.
Yeah, but primarily
saxophone, yeah.
Yeah.
And I also played bassoon for 5 years.
5 years, yeah, that's right. And speaking of ear training, he has perfect pitch.
No, relative pitch.
No.
There's a difference. Because
Okay.
perfect pitch is something that you have like from a very early age. It took me a while to kind of develop my senses of pitch, which is where I consider myself to have relative pitch.
So relative pitch, I see, yeah. All right, so on the topic of music, where do you see yourself career-wise in the future?
Hopefully playing with some really good bands in downtown LA, and I prefer to be just a musician in my local area, so SoCal.
Relatively close.
Yeah, and if I can, maybe even get into an orchestra with bassoon. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, you got to pick that thing up again. It's cool. Aside from music, what do you do on your free time?
Well, I do have an original in the works. I've been working on some other things that I like to do. Just kind of explore the world of like technology, like with computers and laptops.
Like DAWs.
My dad was he was a computer technician back in Guatemala. That was his first job.
Oh, okay.
So he knows how to like build computers from scratch with like spare parts, and he can like point out like any part of a computer, say, oh, that's the motherboard or whatever. That's this. That's.
I wasn't aware of that. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've kind of been doing that a little bit recently.
It's in your blood, so 100%. Yeah. All right. So with that said, do you have any advice for any like aspiring musicians out there?
Take your time with it. There's definitely going to be ups and downs in your journey. Whenever you get frustrated, that's a very important emotion, because there's something that I heard the great trumpet player Wynton Marsalis say. It's called antagonistic something. I forgot the last word, but basically, here's a situation. Let's say you're at like a Battle of the Bands event, and you have this amazing solo where you just shred over like 5 keys, but you don't get an award or anything, and you're just really like pissed off. But then you use that emotion to just practice and get better. And another really important tool for improving in your journey with music is listening to the masters of your instrument. So in my case with saxophone, I listen to a lot of Charlie Parker, Sonny Stitt, these really legendary guys who kind of laid down everything that came after. Or if you're a trumpet player, listen to Miles Davis, or a piano player, listen to Bill Evans, all these, really talented people on your instrument. And don't just listen to people that are on your instrument. Listen to, other genres, other styles. That's how your kind of knowledge and your vocabulary grows in music.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, those are definitely my pieces of advice for any aspiring musicians. Just listen to a lot of music and try to not sound just like your heroes in music, but definitely have your sound be inspired by them.
100%, yeah. That's right. Well, that's great advice. That's really good advice. Yeah. But with that said, thank you for being on the show, and Alessandro Villatoro.